Welcome to Real Estate Talk with your host, Ken Sachs. This show is created for you, the consumer. Our goal is to empower you with information and education, thereby giving you the tools needed to make informed decisions when it comes to real estate. Real Estate Talk is brought to you in part by the Spokane Association of Realtors. Here's your host, Ken.
Well, greetings, folks. I am Ken Sachs. You are viewing Real Estate Talks, and my guest today is Cory Spolski with Gold Crown Construction. And Cory, what we're going to talk about today, now it's still a seller's market out there across the country, and so we're going to talk about sellers, things you can do to your home that are inexpensive and are easy, that will bring you more money for the sale of your home. So, you know, when you take that 70s or 80s house, they're out there. And what can we do to kind of modernize that house without breaking the bank? I mean, of course, we can go in and throw $50,000 at it and totally redo it, but that's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how to modernize it, things we can do to get that sale that are quick and inexpensive, affordable. Does that sound about right?
Absolutely.
Good. Cory, so why don't you introduce yourself and let us know who you are?
All right. I grew up in Spokane area and lived in Nashville for 10 years and worked with a lot of architects and designers doing a lot of high-end real estate for various different people. And I guess a lot of things that I learned as an architectural consultant was really just trying to find different ways of trying to create flow in houses and things like that. And now I'm here in Spokane, back in Spokane, and just remodeling homes and flipping houses and selling and buying. And so, yeah, we have a lot of experience in it, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, excellent. So not only experience as a contractor working for the consumer, but also experience being a seller yourself. And selling homes, and experience being a flipper, somebody who goes in and remodels and sells it. So that's the kind of experience we want with a conversation like this. So we'll just get into it. So Cory, why don't we start with what are some of the things maybe you're seeing out there where you're scratching your head and thinking, man.
Yeah. I think the biggest things that I see in mistakes is not a lot of depersonalization. People creating almost each room is seen as its own entity.
Okay.
Versus looking at the entire footprint of the house and creating some kind of a flow. There's a lot of different styles that are in. Some are timeless styles. I think one of the main things that I see a lot of times is people will probably chop up their floor plan just by simply, hey, you know what, my entry has maybe this tile or this vinyl, and then I have this carpet over here, and then down the hallway I have this hardwood, and then in the kitchen I have another kind of tile or anything like that. And when you do that, it draws your eye to look at each individual piece as like square blocks, and it gets rid of that flow. And so the biggest thing that I could say for those folks is really just trying to create a clean look, clean lines and things like that.
Yeah, we were talking about that before the show, and when you have a house like that, it makes the buyer, it kind of gives them an uneasy feeling, but an uneasy feeling that they can't really put their finger on.
Right.
You know, you walk in and you end up walking out, I didn't like that house.
Right.
Okay, well, what didn't you like about that house? I don't know. It just didn't feel right.
Right.
And it's because when you first walk in the house, all of a sudden the tone is set that you're uncomfortable. You're out of sorts. You're uncomfortable. I told Cory, it's like turning the squelch up on your radio, on your CB. Now that squelch is going, it set the tone for the rest of the tour. You're just uneasy, and ultimately you're not going to buy the house.
Right.
So when we see that, gosh, I mean, there are easy things we can do, inexpensive things we
Right.
can do to rectify that situation.
Right.
So
right.
what are some of the what would you recommend to a seller whose house was like that today? Like, we want to sell this house, so we
Yep.
don't need anything with 100-year lifespan.
Right.
We want it to look good and be cheap
Right.
to sell.
The best things you can do is really just declutter your house. Number one, anything you have in there. I mean, if you can kind of minimalize, of course, we've talked about this, is getting rid of anything that's personal. Depersonalizing the house is going to create a better flow, and it's not going to draw somebody's attention to one particular area. And creating a flow with your furniture too, is simply if you walked into a house and if there was a couch maybe too far over or whatever, you walk into it and it gets rid of that flow. Then the next thing that they do is they look for every other reason why they why they don't like your house. So if you could kind of create that from the very beginning, do simple things like, hey, keep your yard cleaned up, weed the flower beds. Even if you don't have any major landscaping or anything, just make it look nice and clean. Edge the grass, where they have a good curb feel. They walk up, it looks clean. It gives a perception that the inside's the same way, and it keeps that flow.
And we'll go outside. I want to go back inside
Okay, let's
because
go. Yeah.
I'm talking about those floors
Yeah.
because I know from listening to you, there have been improvements with products out there where I could redo my floors.
Yes, absolutely. A lot of people remember the old laminate floor.
Yes.
Laminate was kind of an inexpensive way, click and lock, you put it down. A lot of people could do it. It was actually created in Europe, and it was made for people that had flats, and they could go live in a flat, and then when they went to move, they would take their flooring with them.
I never knew that.
Yeah, and then you could put it back down. So then it eventually came into the United States, so anyway, there was a lot of that.
Sure.
So a lot of those European ideas is taking a smaller footprint, making it look larger. Going to the flooring, there's a floor type out that's called luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl plank is being used all over the place now. It is completely waterproof. Well, most of them are. Just make sure you're looking for a completely waterproof one. So they're great for kitchens, great for entries, great for bathrooms, great all over, and they have a realistic look and feel. And they're very hard to scratch. A lot of them now have a ceramic bead wear layer, which keeps the durability. I mean, you can really improve your house for a very low cost.
Sure.
Just by doing that. You could go over hardwoods, you could go over tile. There's just a lot of different options with that. I always tell people, like, one of the biggest things is when you walk into a house is you always look at the floor. You walk in, you look at the floor, and it kind of draws your eye. And so what you do is if you have all the same flooring surface, what that does is it creates a bigger and broader area. It draws that perspective all the way to the back of the house, which makes it look grander and bigger. It could be a small 900 square foot house and still look very open if you have all the same floor coverings. So if you try to do that, create that flow in there, and then maybe do just carpet in bedrooms, you can really decrease the cost, or increase the value for a minimal cost.
Well, and then you don't have that uneasy feeling that you can't quite put your finger on with the house that has the cornucopia of floor coverings all over the place.
Right. And different heights, and I see that a lot, is trip hazards, things like that. Once people see that, they have kids or whatever,
Sure.
you might be used to it, what's in your house, but not everybody else is.
Sure, and talking about the scratching, and there had to have been vast improvements over, say, at least the last 3 or 4 years.
Oh yeah.
Because I have seen where in commercial buildings, like office buildings, where we would put some nice luxury vinyl plank, if that's what you call it, and then a year later, my goodness, it is scratched all over the place, and it's not like we're in there, with wire brushes. It's just from like scooting chairs in and out.
Right. Simple activity, and what that was is back then is they had a polyurethane wear coating, and that polyurethane wear coating was softer and not as durable, and so it caused they would put a thicker wear layer on there, and it's clear, like a clear coat on your car, and after so many scratches, then you would get to the image. Now they created a harder surface, so they've made so many vast improvements in it that wood is being used less and less and less just because it's so soft.
Sure.
And this product is so hard. They have ones, I have it in my own home, and you can park a grand piano on top of it. You know, it takes that pressure. So they're just great. There's been great and vast improvements.
Good. So consider that, sellers. If you're listening to this and you're thinking of your house, that could be a viable option, is keep the carpet in your bedrooms, but in your living areas, living room, family room, kitchen, if it's like a great room type of concept, consider, hey, what if I have tile? Can I put it over tile, or do we have to pull the tile out?
You can. It just depends on, again, your height.
Okay.
If you have height differences, sometimes, if you have a tile and there's a backer on the back and the thickness of the tile doesn't line up with, say, the rest of the house, do you either put underlayment through the whole house?
Right.
Which that can be expensive, or do you just demo out maybe that section of tile? Now, if it's something as simple as like a kitchen and you're going to put it in there, then, I suggest you can go right over the top. So you can replace right over the top of the tile.
So that might be an option. You might get away with leaving the tile down if you have tile and just put it over the tile, or even pulling out the tile, but getting that luxury vinyl plank down and creating that flow, leaving the carpet in the bedrooms, that could be a very affordable option for you. So that's a pretty good tip. And I know the producer's given me the 1 minute wave. I want to, and we're in the kitchen, so we can stay in the kitchen. I like kitchens. I want to talk about counters because again, walking into that 80s house,
yep,
and I'm visualizing the wood paneling,
yeah,
the dark brown,
yeah,
and like the green, kind of like a limey green,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Taking back to our childhood,
yep,
the limey green countertops.
The mushrooms on the walls.
Yes,
yeah,
and you think, my gosh, if I want to upgrade these countertops, I have to pull them all out and go with something like granite. And my goodness, that is just cost prohibitive. But wait, when we come back from our break, I'm going to give you, and Cory's going to give you, a great option, one that I've used in a house I sold, that you're not going to believe it. So stand by. We are talking with Cory Spolski, Gold Crown Construction. I'm going to give you Cory's number a few times, this being the first. His phone number, 509-954-4673, if you want to call Cory later. But we're going to take our 1 minute break, and you're listening to Real Estate Talks with Ken Sachs.
Well, this is nice.
Yeah.
That's real Brazilian walnut.
Yeah.
We know.
To help you be safe, Washington state law requires you to call 811 2 full business days before you plan, for example, to dig, drill, plow, pull from, or pound anything into the ground. Be prepared to provide the operator with the correct address, cross street, and the description of your work. You must mark the dig area with white paint. The operator will inform you of the utilities notified of your impending excavation. Wait for all their marks. Be safe and dig with care.
Hello there, Internet. My name is Braden Magruder, and I'm just coming out of the Spokane Talks building, and I'm excited to bring to you guys a new announcement that I am going to be the new host of the Youth Spotlight program. Now, our old host, Colin, he's off to Texas Christian University to pursue a degree in theater and broadcasting, and you know what? That's great for him, but that's what I like to call adulting. And I don't think that we have time for adulting with the Youth Spotlight program. What the Youth Spotlight program is here to do is to bring to you guys news, the greatest news of some of the most amazing people here throughout Spokane that are, just going in high school, maybe about to go into college, you know. These people are achieving life's dreams and they are so young. And I think that these are stories that you guys should know about. And I'm so excited to be bringing them to you. Now, I'm a Spokane native myself. I've been performing throughout Spokane in various different shows. I just closed the show of Music Man, and you know, I guess I like long walks on the beach, keeping my business attire, while also keeping my French fry socks on close at hand. You know, it's going to be a great year, and I'm so excited to be your guys' host. So tune into Youth Spotlight to watch me interview some of the most amazing people. Thank you and have a great day.
Welcome back. You are watching Real Estate Talks. I am Ken Sachs, your host. We've been speaking with Cory Spolski of Gold Crown Construction, talking about sellers and inexpensive upgrades you can do to your home to prepare it to sell, to get the most money you can without breaking the bank, if you will. We last left off in the kitchen, one of my favorite places in the house. And the dilemma of those lime green counters in that 80s home, and here I am trying to sell it now in 2018, and I don't want to, or I don't have the money to do granite or any of these fancy countertops that we immediately think of. Well, this is probably, in my mind, one of the biggest takeaways of the show. Here's an alternative. And I didn't know about this until someone showed me, and I did it, and I was blown away. So, Cory, here I am. I've got this lime green countertop, and I don't want to replace everything. What's an inexpensive option?
Best option is that a lot of people don't know about is doing epoxy coatings, and you can do an epoxy coating super easy. It can be done in a day. And with that day, you know, you want it to air out in your home and things like that. But it can be easily done, and you can make the coating look as simple as you want, or you can make it look as exotic as you want. You can make it look like granite, make it look like anything.
And it just goes right over the counter.
Goes right over your existing countertop. It's very simple. It might cost you $400, you know, $400 or $500 possibly. But yeah, it's a great way to improve. I always look at the kitchen as the heart of the home. You know, that's what most people look at when they walk in. Yep. What does that kitchen look like?
That's what buyers look at.
Yep. So if you can improve that, and the way that flow works is, you know, tone down the greens, get rid of that. You know, simple things as a backsplash, things like that.
Yeah, so we're going to get to the backsplash, but I really want to emphasize this because I was presented with this dilemma and a seller who didn't want to spend any money, and it was $325 or $375, and it was your typical kitchen, you know, not huge and not small. And when we were done, I was blown away. It had like kind of a granule kind of pebble design, but it was smooth. It looked like a brand new expensive countertop, and like I said, it was $325, maybe $375.
Yeah.
Blew my mind.
Small, you know, the smaller the kitchen, of course, the lower the cost. And it'll blow your mind. And you don't have to pull anything up. You don't have to demo anything out.
Right.
You're not making a huge mess. You know, dust and things like that. You don't have any of that.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking that with those new vinyl luxury planks in the kitchen and that counter, how much more money are you going to get for your house? You may not want to sell it now. It looks so good.
Yeah.
You mentioned backsplash.
Yeah, a backsplash, you know, is also a simple alternative. It really doesn't take a lot to do one. You can get a backsplash done in about I would say about a day and a half, and you know, you set the tile one day, and then the next day you would be grouting it. But it's a super easy alternative. You know, you normally you know, your average backsplash might cost anywhere from, you know, labor-wise is 300 and up, you know, and then plus cost of materials. And your tile, you're only talking like 15 to 30 square feet,
Right.
you know, and so you can go buy inexpensive tile if you want to do subway tile, things like that. It's super easy to do, inexpensive. Subway tile might cost you, for, you know, 30 square feet, might cost you, gosh, $200.
Sure,
you know.
sure.
I mean, it's really super easy way to dress up your kitchen. You know, go ahead and do the backsplash. Go ahead and, you know, do the countertop, and it just creates just the better view.
Yeah, so ultimately, I mean, 375, 325, $500, less than $1,000
Yep.
already. Think of brand new counters with a backsplash.
Yep.
I mean, talk about popping when the buyer walks in.
Oh yeah.
So I love it. I love it. Okay, we got our counter. We got our backsplash. Okay, forget the cabinets, Cory. That is too expensive. I don't want to replace the cabinets.
Right.
Instead, what I'm going to do to make it look good is I'm going to just, when I pick out my new flooring, I'm just going to match the cabinets and to create that flow that I've heard you talk about.
Right.
Any issues there, or what do you think about that?
You know, I think the biggest mistake most people make is that they try to match wood, and you have wood doors or wood door frames or wood trim, and people will try to go and try to match that. Well, the problem is that you're
can't match it.
You're never going to match it. It has to be completely redone and then done all together. There's just no way. So the best solution for that is really to almost go completely opposite. If you can go completely opposite of that, you know, so if you have a light colored cabinet, say, go to a darker version of wood. Don't try to match it. Just do something that's different than what you have. And what you can do is, you know, the classic like oak colored cabinets you see everywhere. Pick out a plank, you know, pick out a luxury vinyl plank that will complement that.
Sure.
And there's tons of different colors that will have maybe that color oak in it, but maybe darker hues or lighter or something, but it'll draw it all together and bring it all together as one. So it's not individually, it's not sticking out.
I love it, because I could see a buyer walking in and saying, they tried matching the floor to the cabinet.
Right.
Like that's an obvious error.
Right.
Whereas if you go completely opposite, like what you were saying, buyer walks in, ooh,
Right.
ooh, I like that.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So, man, that's great advice. Again, Cory Spolski, Gold Crown Construction. You can call Cory at 509-954-4673 if you want to talk more about any of these upgrade options that we're talking about. So we've done the counter, we've done the backsplash, we're going to leave the cabinets, we're going to put a floor in that is opposite from our cabinets. Glass. You know, that's expensive. And I know I've got some that maybe are pitted from the sprinklers or fogged. And I've just heard, I've seen online, it's just really expensive to change out windows. Is that true?
It's
or
not,
can you believe everything you read?
Don't believe everything you read. You know, there's a lot of times, we replace a lot of glass for people, sealed glass units. And most of the time when we show up to go replace the glass, they think that they have to replace the frame, the trim, recalk it, maybe fix the siding.
Like I did before talking to you.
Right. So you know, you have to go through all these things, and really you don't have to. Most windows, you can actually just replace just the glass only. I replaced a glass unit just yesterday.
Gosh.
It took me maybe 20 minutes. And, you know, for a minimal cost, if you have some windows, because they usually get picked off on inspections and things like that.
Sure.
You know, fogged up or whatever, you can replace them pretty minimal. It's maybe $150.
Yeah.
You know, something very easy to manage. So
yeah, that's great. And in selling your house, don't forget that oftentimes the appraiser, depending on the loan type, they're going to call that glass if there's a crack in it, and they're going to require that be replaced. So good to know that I don't have to tear everything out.
No, pretty
easy. I can
easy.
just replace the glass.
Right.
Love it. What's left? Glass. We're looking outside, so let's go outside.
All right.
You started there earlier, so let's talk about outside. What are some things I can do as a seller?
You know, as a seller is just keeping rubbish out. Basically, if you have overgrown bushes, I see a lot of times there will be trees or bushes in front of a house, and it'll really take away what the house looks like. You can't see. And so how many people shop? Most people shop online.
Yes.
And they see pictures, and people are very visual. And when you see that picture, you may not see the full extent of how beautiful that home is.
Right.
And so if you really want to make your home pop and have people really look at it, is minimize the size of, bushes and shrubs, and maybe honestly move a tree sometimes.
Sure.
There's things like that can really improve your curb appeal. Then the other thing is, just even if you don't have the greatest landscaped of yards, you can keep it clean. If you keep it clean and cut and nice, water the grass, keep it nice and green, and edge the lawn, keep straight lines, get rid of weeds and riffraff. If it looks organized and nice, it'll invite them in.
Yeah, you're setting that tone again of being comfortable. I know we have about 30 seconds left.
Yep.
Pine needles, get them out of the rain gutters, right? Because buyer drives up, sees the pine needles come out of the rain gutters. You're not taking care of your home. What else are you not doing that I'm not going to see? So we want to get all that stuff out.
Exactly.
Remember, buyers can choose your house online. They arrive at your house, but if outside it looks like a mess, they can keep going. So we got to get them in your house. So the outside is very important. Pine needles, I talked about that. Gosh, I think we've covered it. Yep. I'm getting the wave. My guest, Cory Spolski, Gold Crown Construction. Again, 509-954-4673. Cory, thanks for being our guest today.
You. Thanks
You've
for
been
having me.
listening to Real Estate Talks with Ken Sachs, and we will see you next time.
Real Estate Talk is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksOnline.com, which is solely responsible for its content. Ask Ken a question, recommend a guest, and watch this program again online anytime at SpokaneTalksOnline.com. Real Estate Talk is brought to you by our friends at Spokane Association of Realtors. We wish you a great day.